So we have been looking in the previous class, we have been looking into the decision control statements, wherein we have seen the concepts of if and if else with certain examples. So I think the concept is clear to everybody. Okay, so the next concept in the decision control statements is the nested if. I hope I'm audible and everybody is able to hear what I'm saying, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So in today's class, we'll look into this concept of nested if. Okay. So what does it mean by a nested if? Okay. So nesting of a concept means that so there will be an outer if and there will be an inner if. Okay. So nesting is that. Okay. So one inside the other. The one inside is called as the inner loop, and the inner if and the one which is in the outer is called as the outer if. Okay, so such kind of nesting of the if statements is possible in Python. So we'll just see how this is executed. In case if I put this nested if inside the program, how this is executed, we'll see. This is the syntax of the nested if, and how many ifs you can nest. You can nest how many ever you want. So that's what I have shown you in the general form of with the syntax too. Okay, so coming to the syntax one, so I'm having an outer if and test expression one. Okay, and inside this, see, I have given an indentation over here, which means that this if is inside this if. Okay, so there is an if inside, and this condition is test expression two, and there is a statement block here and the statement X. Okay, so now we'll see how this is executed. First thing is because this outer if condition is checked. Okay, so the outer if condition is checked. If the outer if condition is true, then only it will check for the inner if condition. If the outer if condition is false, okay, so if the outer if condition is false, it will look for whether there is an else for the outer if. If there is no else for the outer if in this case, it will just go to the statement X, which is the immediate statement after your if block. Okay, so this is how the nested if functions. So I hope everybody understood this, and so the outer if is checked first. If the outer if is giving you a true, then only the inner if will get executed. Again, the same thing will repeat. Inside the inner if, again the condition at the inner if is checked. If it is true, then the inner if block will be executed. If it is false, it will look for an else for the inner if. Okay, so if there is an else for the inner if, then that else is executed. Else, what happens? It comes to the statement X. Okay, so now coming to the syntax 2. The purpose of giving this syntax 2 is to make you know that there can be any number of nestings of the if. This you can have how many ever nestings of the if you want, you can have. But the order of execution of this nesting of the ifs is like that. Like the outer if is tested first. If the outer if is true, then only it enters into the inner if. Okay, so if this inner if is testing to be true, then only it will enter into this particular test, this if condition over here. Okay, so this is how the nesting of ifs work. So this is the flowchart for the nested if. So this is the test expression one. If this is true, then only it evaluates the test expression two. Okay, so if the test expression 2 is true, then only the inner block. So this is statement block is the block inside your inner if. So this is executed. Okay, so if outer if is evaluating to be false, then there won't be a way to go into the inner if. Okay, so since this is false, it will go to the statement X. Okay, so this flowchart is very clear to understand the flow of how the nested ifs work. Let us take a look into a program wherein we have used the concept of nested if. So I'm reading in the value of A over here. So A is an integer here. So here we are just checking for A is greater than 10. If A is greater than 10, then only the given value. Okay, so here we are asking the user to enter input the value. So we don't know as of now like what the user will be giving. Based on the input that the user will give, so these statements will execute and produce the result accordingly. I said A is greater than 10. Okay, so we'll consider three different kinds of outputs over here and see how the path of execution leads to. Now coming to the first output, wherein I said like the value of A is 17. So check for this. Okay, so A is 17. 17 is greater than 10. 17 is greater than 10 is true. Okay, so what happens now? The inner if will be executed. Because the outer if is evaluating to be true, then only the inner if will execute. So now again this expression will be evaluated wherein still the value of A is 17. So 17 is greater than 12 is executed. The condition is checked against the two literals over here. And 17 is greater than 12 is true. So what happens? The inner if block will execute. What is the inner if block? This print statement over here. So what is there in the print statement? A is greater than 12 will execute. Okay, so not only that, so inside this if, again there is multiple ifs over here. So if whenever there is an if, your interpreter will for sure check the condition. Okay, so this if also will get executed. So A is still 17. We didn't manipulate the value of A, so it is still 17. So I'm checking for whether 17 is greater than 15. Yes, 17 is greater than 15. So what is happening? It is saying the if block over here will execute, which is saying A is greater than 15. So A is greater than 15 also will be printed on the screen. Okay, so there is nothing else to execute inside this if. So the control comes to the immediate next statement after your if statement. So which is this print statement. So whatever is there inside this print statement will get printed on the screen. So inside this print statement, I just said print statement X. So statement X will be printed on the screen. So this is the output. So this is one of the outputs with certain values of true over here. Now let us take a look at another example wherein the path of execution or the flow of execution of the program is in different way. So here I have taken the value of A to be 10. Okay, so when the value of A is equal to 10, what is happening is the condition is checked. So 10 is greater than 10. So 10 is not greater than 10, it is equal to 10. So what happened? This condition has evaluated to be false. When this outer if has evaluated to be false, what happens is the inner statement will not execute. It will look for any else is there for this outer if. So there is no else over here. So this block will not execute. So this entire thing from here to here is considered to be a block. Okay, so this entire thing which I am putting in green color. Okay, so all this part is the block of the outer if. So since the outer if has evaluated to be false, what happens is this block will not execute. And it will go to the immediate next statement in the program outside the if block. So what is the immediate next statement after the if block, which is the print statement over here. So that is why it is executing statement X. So I hope this output 2 is clear to everybody. Now coming to the third output over here, so which is giving you another flow of program execution, which is showing you another flow of program execution. So here in I said A is equal to 13. Okay, so first if will be evaluated. So 13 is greater than 10. So the condition is true. So what is the technique? So when the condition is true, what happens? The inner for will execute. Inner if will execute. The inner if will execute. So the control goes into the if block. inside the if block, you're having a if over here. So it will check for 13 is greater than 12. Okay, 13 is greater than 12 is true again. So what will happen? It will print A is greater than 12. Okay, after that, there is a multiple if statement here. So there is another if over here which will execute. Okay, so here we are saying 13 is greater than 15. So 13 is not greater than 15. So this condition has evaluated to be false. So the block will not execute and it will go to the immediate next statement after the if block, which is statement X, which will print on the screen. Okay, so these are the three kinds of flows of execution inside the same program. Which path of which path it is taking depends on the user's input. Okay, so based on the user's input, so being programmers, it is our responsibility to actually get into the shoes of the user and think what are the different kinds of users input the users are going to give. So based on that, your flow of execution or your logic need to be built. So it is very important for you to understand how you have to build the logic. The logic is built based on the user's input and different flows of execution you will be finding out, and you will be combining all these different flows of execution into a single program. Okay, so that's how you write a program. Now, another point that I would like to highlight over here is this if and this if. What is the relation between this if and this if? The relation between these two ifs is that this is the outer if and this is the inner if. So one is inside the other, and the inner if is based, the execution of the inner if is based on the execution of the outer if. Okay, now we'll try to compare another two ifs over here. So consider the inner two ifs over here. Okay, so these two ifs, consider these two ifs. Okay, so these two ifs are independent of each other. Okay, so this is executed and this is also executed. Okay, so it is not depending on anything. This A is greater than 15. Of course, you will come to this particular point only if A is greater than 10. Okay, but we are just comparing the inner ifs like this. Okay, where they are just multiple if statements which are executed one after the other. You can also say that it is an if ladder. Okay, fine. So this is regarding the nested if statement. The next concept is nested if else statement. Okay, so this is where in the previous example I didn't give any else part, but here I am giving some else part with the if statements. Nesting of if with the else statements. So we already know that if there is more than one statement inside a block, we call that as the compound statement. Compound means combination of more than one statement. Okay, whenever you have more than one statement, you call that as the compound statement. So this is a program which is clearly showing that we are finding the greatest of the three numbers. So I am reading in the three numbers over here. So A, B, C are read over here. And then you can see that the logic is built in such a way that you will be finding the greatest among the three numbers. So first, there is a if over here wherein we are comparing A and B. Okay, so if A is greater than B, okay, so then you are checking A to C. You know that when A is greater than B, so there are three numbers over here. When you know that you are finding the greatest among this, when you know that A is greater than B, you know that A is larger than B. Okay, so that's what is your inference. Now you need to check A with the C. If again A is greater than C, then you can conclude that A is the largest one. Now, if A is less than C, okay, so then it means that C is largest because A is already larger than B. Now, comparing A and C, A is smaller than C. It means that C is larger than B also. Okay, so the largest among the three numbers is C. Okay, so that's what we are trying to see over here. So you will be better understanding with these three outputs that I have given here. So we'll try to compare these ones. You can give whatever numbers you want and compare it. Okay. So I have given 1, 2, 3 for A and 45 for B and 7 for C. See, this is one question you can see in the placements. Okay, so finding the three greatest among the three numbers, writing the code for finding the greatest among the three numbers. So I want all of you to concentrate and listen to this code. You might be knowing it, but learn the syntax and how it is put, and you always have to think of bettering the algorithm. So think of a way like wherein maybe you can reduce the number of lines that we have written in the code. So there is no end for programming. It's not like I got it, you got it. You can always better the algorithms. Now coming to the first case wherein I said 123. So you know the values of A, B, and C. So they are compared over here. So 123 is greater than 45. Yes, it is true. Okay, since it is true, what happens? It enters into the inner if. Okay, so the inner if is executed. So in the inner if, now you are comparing 123 with 7. 123 is greater than 7. So what happens? You know for sure that A is largest. So A is largest is printed on the screen. Now this else will not execute. Why this else is not executing? Because it is an if else. You already know how if else will execute. If if becomes true, else will not execute at all for you. If else if this condition over here, if this if over here is evaluating to be false, then this else will execute. Okay, since here this particular if is evaluating to be true, this else will not execute at all. Okay, and the next thing is why these things did not execute for you, because this else over here is the else for the outer if. This inside if and else are connected. This inside if and else are connected. This outer if. So you can see that the indentation is very clearly given over here. So when I give else exactly below if, it means that this else belongs to this particular if. Okay, so you have to give indentation in such a way that one is below the other. So then it means that it is relating to that. Okay, fine. So the next kind of output over here is wherein we are saying B is greatest. Okay. So I have given three values wherein B is greatest. The first thing it will check is A is greater than B. A is greater than B will evaluate to be false because B is 56 and A is 12. So when this is evaluating to be false, what happens is it will not enter into the inner if. Okay, so this part will not execute at all for you. So what it will do, because this if has become false for you, it will check for whether there is an else. Yes, of course there is an else over here, so it will come to this else part and try to execute this else part. So inside this else part we said B is greater than C. So don't expect the program to give you the answer, okay, without you writing the logic properly. It is very important that you write the logic properly. Your algorithm need to be correct. Computer is just your Python interpreter. All these are codes that you have written. They just work. They're machines. Okay, so they are codes that execute. That's it. They are not intelligent. Intelligence is there in your brain. How you write the code, that is what will execute there. Don't think that I have written the code correctly only, the system is not executing properly. This is what I hear from students. So that is absolutely wrong. If you are writing wrong code, obviously you won't be getting the right answer. So the problem is with your code, not the machines. Okay, so the machines, it's a code which executes, that's it. So your logic should be correct. If you just write something over here like A is greater than C and say B is greatest, there is no logic over here, right? Because you're saying in the if condition, you're saying A is greater than B, and here you're saying B is largest. So there is no meaning. Okay, so it is very important that you write sensible codes. Okay, so because your intelligence has to be shown in the programs, you have to think in such a way that you write good codes. Okay, so you you write the wrong codes and say that the machine is not giving you the proper output, then that is absolutely wrong. Right. So here we are checking for the condition. So the framing of like what should be here, like A is greater than B and A is greater than C and B greater than C, it needn't be in this format. Your logic can be different also. But how you're forming the logic is in your hands, and that is your intelligence. That's what I'm telling you. How you need to put the logic. The programming language only teaches you the constructs. Okay, so how to put a if, what is the purpose of if. The programming language only teaches you different constructs and what is the purpose of different constructs and how to use the different constructs in the programming by teaching you certain syntax. Okay, that's it. The cognitive thinking and the way you write an algorithm, the way you put things in sequential order or put it in recursive way or in iterative way, give a solution for any of the computational problem. Writing the algorithm is your task. That's why the people in software company are paid high, because of their brains. Okay, so because how they put the code and how whether they are able to produce the correct output or not. See, whenever you write a program, it is very, very important that you are producing the proper output. You are writing a program for prime number and maybe it is not telling you whether a given number is prime or not. So then what is the purpose of writing the program itself? So your program is not producing the correct output. Your program or your algorithm is not correct. So when your program is not correct, then I mean, you didn't write your logic properly, right? So you need to develop those skills of writing the logic, how you need to put things in order, what kind of methodology you need to apply to solve a particular problem, whether you need to use divide and conquer or whether you need to go with dynamic programming or whether you need to go with branch and bound, or what kind of algorithm you want to write and what kind of constructs you want to put it in your program. You want iterations to happen in the program or you want to solve the same kind of problem using recursion. So this kind of judgments only you need to make, okay, being programmers. So here I said the logic is like B is greater than C. If 56 is greater than 56 is greater than 76 is checked over here. 78 is checked over here. So it is false. Okay, so 56 is less than that. So it means what? That C is greatest. Okay, so here we checked for the condition A is greater than B. So A is less than B. So it means that as of now, between A and B, so as of now, between A and B, by this particular statement, you know that B is greatest. Okay, so you know that B is greatest from this particular statement. So now I'm writing my logic in such a way that since from this, because this condition has evaluated to be false, it means that I have inferred from this particular condition that B is greatest. Now what I'm doing, I'm checking B with this C. Okay, so again, there are two outcomes when I check B with this C. One is like B is greatest or C is greatest. So that's what I have put it in this if and else. So if B is greater than C, okay, then I'm saying B is largest. So if this condition is evaluating to be false, it means that C is largest. So this is what we have to conclude. So I said C is greatest. So among, if you just look into this output, wherein 12, 56 and 78. So first 12 and 56 are compared. So we know that 56 is greatest and B is greatest. Among B and C, like 78 is greatest. So C is greatest is the output that you got. And in the third case, in the third output, what we are doing is we are trying to check. Okay, so this is what is called as checking for the correctness of the algorithm. So whenever you write an algorithm, it is very important that you check for the correctness of the algorithm. If you write a program for prime number, you always have to do two kinds of checking. Okay, so one is give a prime number, say give 5 and check whether you're getting the proper output or not. 5 is a prime number, so it should say 5 is prime. Or give 11, it should say that it's a prime number. 13, give 13 and say whether it is giving multiple checks of the prime number you do. So after you are sure that it is giving you the prime number, you also need to check for the not prime number. So give something as 6 or 86 or 82 or any even number other than 2 and check whether it is saying that it is not prime or not, because 2 is the only even prime number. Don't give 2. Okay, and it should also say 2 is a prime number. Okay, so your program should be that correct. Okay, so two way of checking need to be there. So every program that you write, you always have to check for the all the parts of execution you should check in the output. That's a very good programming practice. Whenever I handle the labs, okay, so I make my students write in the lab observations all the execution parts. Whenever I handle lab, say it is a C programming lab, or say Java programming lab, or it is Hadoop lab, or any kind of lab, any DBMS lab, or any kind of lab I handle. So I make the students to show me different paths and show the output for the different paths. Okay, generally students show only one path of execution as an output. No, if for my labs and for my internal lab examination or external lab examination, I check all the paths. Okay, so because you need to be sure that all the paths are executing to the correctness of the algorithm. So the third case, I think it is clear to you now. Okay, so in the third case, so we are checking for A is greater
Ma'am,
than
your
B.
voice is
Okay,
breaking.
so so it is false because I gave 12 and 45 over here. So B is greatest. So among A and B, as of now, yeah. How is it now?
Ma'am.
Okay, now. Okay. Okay, so as of now you know that B is greatest. Okay, 45 and 4 is compared. So this condition is evaluating to be true. So B is greatest. So this is nested if else statements. The last of all is the if elif else statements. Okay, so this elif is a synonymical word to else if in your C programming. Am I clear now, girls? Is my voice clear? Yeah. And the concept is also clear? Is the concept also is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Now coming to the elif can be understood as else if. Okay. So you can have, this is also called as an else if ladder. Okay. So in C programming, you might have seen a concept which is called as an else if ladder. So this is similar to this particular else if ladder. Okay. So first the test condition is checked. Okay. So this condition is checked. So if this condition is false, what happens is it comes to this else and checks for this particular condition. If this condition is false, then what happens? It checks for, it goes to the next else and checks for, if when the preceding test conditions all evaluate to be false, then this particular statement Y will execute. Okay, right. So this is the first case. Now say for example, the first condition has evaluated to be true. Okay, so if this first if has evaluated to be true, the if block will execute and it will come to the statement X. Okay, so nothing else will be executed here. The rest of the succeeding ladder, including this else, will be skipped. Okay, so say for example, the third case is where I am saying this particular if has evaluated to be false. So it comes to the next else if. So say this else if has evaluated to be true, then the block 2 will execute, and after block 2 executes, it goes to the statement X. Okay, so nothing else will be executed. So this is what is called as if elif else statements or else if ladder. Here one point is like that elif and else over here are optional. Say for example, I am having if and ellipse and all that, and it is not mandatory for me to put an else. I can simply have if and ellipse without the else statement. So it is syntactically correct. Okay, so don't think that there should be an else. But why we prefer putting an else is that because you want your logic or your path to be correct. Sometimes this else will make good sense. Okay, so like what I have shown you in the earlier cases, like for the age greater than 18, so you're eligible to vote and all that. So to bring in more sense into your program, we generally give an else. If you feel that this else can be excluded, this is not giving any a good thing into your program, then you can simply exclude this else. Okay, it's syntactically correct. That's what I just wanted to tell you. So this is a program wherein I have used this elif. So I have read a number from the user. So the user is giving a number which is 9 or -9 or positive or negative or a 0. Okay, so I have shown you 3 outcomes of this particular program. So in the first case, if the number is equal to 0, I am simply saying the number is 0. If it is greater than 0, I am saying the number is positive. If it is less than 0, I am saying the number is negative. Look at the syntax of how I have given this and look for the indentation what I have given between these particular if and ellipse. That's what is your takeaway from this slide. Okay, so you always have to look for, because you already know the concepts because you have seen in the C programming classes. What you have to see here is learn the syntaxes and see how they are put in a program. Okay, right. And there is a semicolon over here, and this is syntax. This is the rule. So you have to put a semicolon. Okay, fine. So I'm saying this is again a 3-way. Okay, so there are 3 parts of execution in your program, 3 parts of program lines in your program. So enter the number. So in the first case, I have entered -9. So what will happen? -9 is equal to 0. It is false. So what happens? It goes to the elif. So I'm saying -9 is greater than 0. It is again false. So what it will do? It will come to the next elif. Inside the next elif, I'm saying less than 0. As -9 is less than 0. So it will print number is negative. Okay, so likewise, the other outputs. Okay, so 7 is equal to 0 is false. So number 7 is greater than 0 is true. So it's saying number is positive. See, the next elif is not executed for the positive. As I already told you, the flow of execution, the procedure of how this functions, I already have told you. If you want, you can also give an else. If you feel that this else is not making any sense in your program, you can simply exclude it. This is absolutely fine. Okay, so don't think that the final else is mandatory inside the program. You can skip it. And how many ellipses I can have? N number of ellipses. Okay, it depends on what kind of logic you are writing. Okay, if the number is equal to 0, it is simply saying the number is equal to 0. Okay, so so that's it. We have finished the decision control statements, which are selection statements. And this is one very important note that you need to keep in mind, that whenever you're writing logics, okay, make sure that you're using and, or, and not keywords instead of this one, because you're already used to logical and symbol like this and logical or and not symbols like this. They don't function in Python. Okay, fine. I just have put them inside your program. So I'll just show you 2 programs and I'll wind off. And in tomorrow's class, in Monday's class, I'll start your loops. Fine. So here I have taken a number which is a character. Okay, so I have read the character. So by default, obviously your input will be reading a character, is a string. A string and character is same in Python. So I'm not typecasting it. Okay. So in the next statement, what I did is I have given an if, and I'm checking whether the given number, given letter from the alphabet is an vowel. Okay. So if it is an vowel, then I am saying print an vowel. But there is a logic for whether, how you check whether it's an vowel or consonant. Okay, so herein I am saying like if A is character is equal to A. Okay, I'm giving all the uppercase letters. See, girls, you can write this program in different ways. The purpose of this program is not to tell you what is an vowel and what is a consonant. The purpose of this program is to tell you how to use if and else inside a program. That is the purpose of this program. You can simply convert the number to lowercase and uppercase because you're having is lower and is upper, and these kind of methods are there to convert the character into lowercase and uppercase. So for everything there is a method, and then you can compare. So one if will do actually. But to just to show you the purpose of if how to put if and elif inside a program, I have written this program, right? So AEIOU, I have written this in uppercase, and I'm saying it's a novel. And in the elif, I have again said AEIOU, but now the AEIOU that I have given is in lowercase. So even if it matches with this lowercase letters, I'm saying it's a novel. Else I'm saying it is a consonant, or I'm saying it's not a novel. Okay, fine. So herein I have given two outcomes. That's what I'm telling you. For every program, you have to generate the outputs and see whether it is working fine for all the parts of execution. So herein I'm having two parts of execution. You can also give capital letters and see. There is another one also. Third case is also there over here. So check for giving a capital letter. So give some Z or okay. So we are checking the vowels kabatti. So you can give capital U and check. Okay. So give capital U and check whether this condition is working fine or not. So for each and every path of execution, you have to generate the outputs. So enter a number. So I have given B. B is a consonant. So it is saying it's not a novel. It's said like whatever you want, you can write in the print statement. I said it's not a novel. So next case, I have given an E, which is a lowercase e. So this elif has been executed. Okay, so elif is executed because I gave a lower E. For example, I'm giving an upper U. What happens? This first if will become true, and it will tell that it is an vowel. And see the connections between this, the logical connections over here is an OR over here, and I simply have given OR. OR is the keyword, and we have to use that OR in the program. So that's it, girls. So this is the end of your if and all the 5 things that I talked about. What are the 5 things that are there in your decision control statements? The 5 constructs or the 5 selection statements that I have discussed are: the first one is the if. What is the second one? Second one is the if else. And what is the third one? Third one is the nested if. And I also have discussed multiple ifs, and also I discussed nested if else, and then finally I discussed if, elif, and else. Okay, so in this we have actually divided it into 2 parts. We have seen how to write if, elif, and also we have seen how to write if, elif, and else also. Emma, are the concepts clear, girls?
Yes, ma'am.